we live in a technological, we live in an era of technological wonder. And one of these technological wonders is our ability to watch shows and movies. Now, seeing movies nowadays has become much more convenient than it has decades before. But does it come at a price on how we see movies? Well, let's dig into it. So, assuming from the title, you probably know what this is about. So, with a lot of streaming going on at home, it's much more easier than to go into a vehicle and drive to a movie theater to see it. Now, this plays a big impact on how movie theaters are doing, because, the movie theaters and theaters, the films in general, and the production companies, it affects their budget and how much they make box office wise. So, let's dig into how, if movie theaters are becoming a dying industry. Now, I'm not saying that movies are a dying industry. Movies will continue to live for generations to come. This video is about, it's a matter of how we would watch movies and shows. So, but mostly movies. Hence the title. You get what I mean. TV shows, that's different. Cable is different. But anyways, less babbling, let's get into it. So, first main point I want to get into is the pandemic's role. Now, ever since the world has changed since the pandemic has happened, there hasn't been many attendees going into movie theaters. Now, for whatever reason, people may not be going into movie theaters. The theaters may close, and they start going out of business. And, unfortunately, it's just that kind of like sad reality of what happens when there's not enough people coming into movies or any type of place where you want to try to make money and get business done. Now, of course, a lot of places in general have closed due to the pandemic. But movie theaters in general have taken a big hit, hence, since nobody's really going to theaters as much, because people are now watching and streaming stuff online. And hence another part of the argument, the convenience of streaming movies that are recently released. Now, you don't have to worry about driving all the way to the movie theaters. You don't have to worry about paying expensive tickets or snacks or the whiny children or sitting behind people, and sometimes you can't see the screen, or you have to go to the bathroom and you miss some parts of the scene. Whatever inconvenience you can think of, that stuff is pretty much solved for the most part. It's, you can stay whatever you're at, on your couch, on your bed, you can wear whatever you want, get comfy, you have your snacks, you have, company over. It's just a smooth sailing, and, it's real easy for pretty much just about everyone. You pay your membership for HBO Max or Hulu or whatever whatever like movie streaming services there are out there. It's become a real convenience to have because no one wants to pay hence like $20 or something like that for a movie ticket. That's just one ticket alone. Imagine, a party of 4 or whatever. I mean, I don't know what the actual price for a movie ticket is. I just know they're expensive, and that's just a number on the top of my head. But anyway, so another piece of this, and this kind of goes into not just the movie theaters, but more rather into Hollywood and the film industry in general, is the lost art of originality or creative content. And what I mean by this is how, nowadays there's always reboots and remakes and sequels and prequels and, a lot of stuff that messes up the canon universe for whatever franchise there is. And, a big demographic of audience members out there, they're pretty much not a big fan of these reboots and remakes, because it messes up with the stuff they grew up with watching in whatever decade before. It kind of like, it messes up that universe canonically. It's practically trying to fix something that was not broke. And then, if something is something's not broken, don't fix it. Take the Star Wars trilogy, for example. Could have 6 movies was plenty. After getting picked up from Disney, a lot of controversy and a lot of division between the last 3 films and, how people felt towards about it. But you could also argue about how, these reboots and remakes, sequels, and prequels are trying to bring in the next generation of audiences, to bring in a next generation of fans. Alright, fine. But not just what? Well, why can't the next generation of fans just watch the original stuff? Why does there have to be an unnecessary sequel or prequel or remake? I'll tell you why. And the answer may be more shocking than you may think it is. You ready? Money. Not really all that shocking, I know, but still. It helps to build that dramatic effect. But another factor of, of the lost art of creative content is, just repeated formulas of genres. How, so you could probably argue if, as I've mentioned before, if something is not broken, don't fix it. And I like to take the MCU, for example. A lot of the movies are the same. You got a superhero who goes through an origin story, big baddie, they duel out. Pretty simple, right? But ever since Endgame, a lot of people I know personally, and stuff I see online, I know too many people aren't exactly happy or excited with this lineup, especially with the Eternals, because, not too many people know who the Eternals are, or it just seems, the universe is just the MCU is just being dragged on, and, now going into the multiverse saga, people are wondering, with no Iron Man, no Captain America, how is this gonna go? How is Marvel Studios gonna go forward without some of, the top superheroes in the world and in the franchise? Well, they have to start bringing in new names and new faces to appeal to an audience, because, I'm sure not too many people who don't read comics know who Shang-Chi or the Eternals or Moon Knight. I'm sure there are many people out there who aren't comic book fans. They're probably not familiar with those characters. So a studio usually has to make a movie about them or a series, but particularly a movie in this case. They change up their origin stories, they change up their design or whatever, and it appeals to a new audience. And of course, the people who grew up with the stuff like the Eternals and Shang-Chi in the 70s or whatever, they see these changes and, it's sometimes they're not really happy with these changes. So there's also that in general with in that category. Just overall, there's just not enough originality in the film industry. Everything's being recycled, it's being reused. You're watching a film with a different title that you've seen 100 times. So, next up I would like to say is, now this one can also be up for debate, the box office. Now, the box office's job is to keep track of how much money a movie makes, not which film can entertain its audience. However, people tend to go online to see reviews and see how well a movie performed. If, say, a movie made like 200 million on its opening weekend or opening week. That's pretty impressive numbers right there. And even look at Shang-Chi just, the past few days. Its recent box office booming success is causing the Venom sequel to pretty much come out early. I mean, that's pretty much a victory for the film industry right there. So, there is definitely some hope for the film industry, sure. But going back into the reviews, people tend to see other perspectives and thoughts on a movie before they want to go see it. Because they want to make sure they're getting their money worth. If a film is not good, you probably don't want to spend money to see a movie that's not good and waste an hour and a half or 2 hours, whatever, of your life just to sit and watch a movie and not even enjoy it. People go online to find critiques or find, the pros and cons of a film, and they want to see whether or not the film is worth it. And when people tend to keep up with those reviews and see how well a movie does in the box office, if it makes a lot of money, then people are going to be convinced to come see that movie. Now, if a movie, makes a below average box office performance, say like Tenet or The Suicide Squad, that doesn't make a movie horrible. It just means the movie didn't make that much money during the premieres. You already seen my review for The Suicide Squad. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. Sure, it had its problems, don't get me wrong. There were some things I would have done differently, but overall, it was a fun movie. It's just a matter of how well, how many people are going to the movies and how much they're spending on to seeing the movie. Because we're in a different world where, watching movies is become much more easier than ever, and much more people would rather watch a movie through an easier route and not have to worry about spending so much money. But you also got movies such as Birds of Prey and Wonder Woman 84, that I personally were not a big fan of. And, those movies did not do well at the box office. So, overall, don't let the box office fool you. The box office is only just, its job is to keep track of how much money is being made, how much money is, being made for the studio, for the film. It's not its job to tell the audience, keep track of whether its audience is entertained or not. That is up to you, the viewer. It is your job to decide whether or not a movie is entertaining or not. And yeah, that's really about it. Overall, it's up for debate. It's not my decision to decide if movie theaters are a dying industry. It's just a matter of how convenience works and who is willing to go out and spend money and what kind of movie people want to see in theaters. So, until next time.